The next big step is making this into a real app by implementing a lot of the details such as comments, search, and settings. Each one of these seems like a huge task, but surprisingly they aren't as hard as one would have expected. For search, we need to leap back into the server code to implement search. On the surface, search seems like a complex problem, but thankfully Spring Boot and Hibernate magically solve that for us. Hibernate is the default JPA implementation in Spring Boot. One of its features is integration with Lucene/Elasticsearch, which you can read about at the hibernate.org/search URL. Spring Boot makes that even simpler. We can support search by making a small change to the pom.xml file. Then we need to configure search in the application.properties file as such. These just mean the search index is saved into the file system, which is the simplest approach for implementing this. There is a lot of power behind this tool, and you can learn more about it in their website. Users can't search everything. That would be bad, as we don't want the ability to search through passwords, etc. We can add search support by marking an entity with the @indexed annotation, then marking each field that should be indexed with the @field annotation. Notice that we should use the org.hibernate.search.annotations package for these annotations, as there is another indexed class in Spring Boot. We only index the name of the user, as we don't necessarily want to expose private data through search. We'll do a similar change to post, which contains fields worth indexing. We only index the text content, as other content might produce weird results in search. I go further with searching comments, etc., but for simplicity I stopped here. With that, the entities should be completely searchable. We now need to expose the search functionality in the service layer. This warrants a brand new search service class. The Entity Manager provides direct access to the underlying JPA implementation. Normally Spring Boot hides that, but for search we need direct access. This is a small helper method that shortens the boilerplate syntax of to FT instead of that code. We first need to build a search database. This is a one-time operation. Once the database is built, Hibernate will keep the database up to date. We have two types of searches, so I combined their common logic into this method. The query builder searches a specific entity, for instance, post, user, etc. Once we have it, we can construct a complex search query. The search for keywords is marked as fuzzy, which means it will find answers that don't match completely for the given text. We create the query and issue it. We give it a range of results so we can page through the query results like we do with other pageable content. Searching people or posts becomes a matter of passing the entity type, field names, and paging numbers. We then convert the entity result to a DAO object as return types. Post searches are exactly the same, only with post objects instead of user objects. That was a bit of code, but the premise is relatively simple and heavy lifting is done by Hibernate. The interesting part is the query builder portion. You can customize the query builder with any fields you wish to search and complex constraints related to the search. But for the simple implementation we have right now, this will do just fine.